Rue Bennett is not just a character from a television show. She is a living case study in how the brain can be rewired, hijacked, and reshaped by the very things that promise relief. Her story is not about glamour, rebellion, or the romantic chaos that popular culture sometimes paints around addiction. Instead, it is the slow erosion of a mind trapped between craving and conscience, between pain and escape, between who she is and who she could be if her brain wasn't constantly fighting her for control. Euphoria, despite its bright colors and bold style, reveals a darker truth, that addiction is less about bad decisions and more about the neurological hijacking of the brain's reward pathways. And Rue, in every trembling breath and broken promise, embodies that truth. Her journey begins long before she takes her first pill. Rue is born into a world where her brain already carries storms of anxiety, racing thoughts, and emotional static she cannot switch off. When she is a child, she does not understand why the world feels heavier on her shoulders than it seems to on anyone else's. She only feels the pressure, the noise, the panic that comes out of nowhere. This matters because addiction does not start with drugs, it starts with discomfort. It starts with a brain wired for imbalance, a mind searching for ways to quiet itself. Rue's early battles with mental health become the fertile soil where addiction later grows. Invisible at first, but waiting. The moment she takes that first dose, something profound happens inside her brain. For the first time, her world is quiet. Not perfect, not euphoric, not magical, just quiet. And for her, that silence feels like salvation. What she experiences is not a moral failure, it is biology. Her brain, struggling for years under the weight of its own chemicals, feels balanced for the first time. The drugs give her what her brain cannot, a moment without fear. And when the brain discovers something that removes fear, it remembers. It rewires itself around that relief. This is the beginning of the hijacking. Addiction is not the pursuit of pleasure, it is the avoidance of pain. Rue does not chase highs, she chases normalcy. But as her brain adapts to the artificial chemicals she feeds it, the natural reward system begins to break down. Dopamine, the chemical that tells us something is good, stops responding to everyday experiences. Conversations, hugs, achievements, love, none of these can compete with the surge her brain now expects. It is not her choice. It is a neurological reset she cannot control. Her brain stops working with her and begins working against her, demanding more while giving back less. This is the cruel trick of addiction. The thing that brings relief becomes the source of suffering. As Rue spirals deeper, the world around her becomes distorted. Her relationships turn fragile because her brain now prioritizes survival over connection. She lies, manipulates, steals, not because she is a bad person, but because her brain is firing sirens 24 hours a day, screaming for the substance it now believes it needs to function. Loved ones become obstacles. Promises become weightless. Morality becomes blurred by panic. She is not choosing selfishness, she is drowning. And when people drown, they claw at anything and anyone to breathe. Her story forces us to understand that addiction transforms a person into someone they hate, all while convincing them they cannot live without the thing hurting them. The most heartbreaking part of Rue's journey is that she knows what she is doing. She is painfully aware of the people she hurts, the bridges she burns, the trust she breaks. Addiction does not erase self-awareness, it makes it weaponized. The guilt becomes fuel for the spiral. Every time Rue disappoints someone she loves, the shame pushes her deeper into the very thing causing the disappointment. She wants to stop, and she believes she will stop, but the brain that once belonged to her is now under different command. Each attempt at sobriety becomes a battle between her intentions and her biology, between the person she wants to be and the person her brain forces her to be. Withdrawal reveals the truth of her condition. It is not a dramatic scene designed for entertainment. It is the body begging, threatening, screaming as the chemicals fade. Her brain is convinced she is dying, and in many ways, it is not wrong. The neurological imbalance, once masked by drugs, explodes into chaos. Every nerve feels raw. Every emotion feels amplified. Every second stretches in 2 hours. Withdrawal is the moment addiction shows its real face, not glamorous, not rebellious, but terrifying. Rue fights not just cravings but a brain that believes it is fighting for survival. Yet beneath all the chaos lies an even deeper layer. Rue does not actually want to die. She wants the pain to stop. She wants the voices in her mind to quiet. She wants the constant feeling of drowning to go away. She wants peace. But addiction does not offer peace. It offers illusion, a temporary mask that fades faster each time. What makes her story so devastating is that she knows this. She knows the mask is slipping, the drugs are stopping working, the escape is becoming a prison. But knowing and breaking free are never the same thing. Addiction is not defeated by logic. It is defeated by rebuilding a brain that has spent years rewiring itself toward destruction. Rue's story forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Addiction does not happen to weak people, it happens to suffering people. It happens to brains looking for relief, to souls looking for silence, to hearts looking for something that finally makes life feel manageable. And once the brain is captured, breaking free becomes a long, painful process of undoing the neurological damage. It is not just about stopping drugs, it is about teaching the brain to feel joy again, to trust again, to live without constant craving. Her recovery is not a straight line. It is messy, exhausting, and filled with relapse. But each moment of clarity, each honest expression of pain, each step towards sobriety shows that she is fighting, not for perfection, but for control. She is learning to reclaim the parts of her self-addiction tried to erase. She is learning to sit with discomfort, to rebuild trust, to forgive herself for the things she did when her brain was not her ally. Rue becomes a symbol not of addiction itself, but of the possibility of healing, the slow rebuilding of a mind hijacked by chemicals. In the end, Euphoria is not about chaos or style or youth. It is about the neurological war happening inside one girl's mind. It is a reminder that addiction is not a moral failure but a biological trap. Rue Bennett is a mirror reflecting the truth many people live but cannot express, that the brain can be both a home and a battlefield. Her journey shows us how easily peace can be replaced by craving, how quietly the brain can be rewired, and how hard it is to reclaim control once it is lost. But it also shows that recovery, although fragile, is possible. Rue teaches us that the battle for the mind is one of the hardest battles of all, but not a battle without hope.